And luckily, he's not alone. Joining me now is Utah Senator Mike Lee, who Mike was one of the architects of this. Hello, Mike. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Thank you very much, Glenn.
I have to ask you some frank questions here. First of all, Rand Paul told me this morning. Do we have this clip from the radio show, Tiffany? Listen to this clip, Senator.
But there's always going to be internal disagreement on the tactics of exactly how you do it. But other than that, I would say that really there's more unity than disunity in the sense of what our position is on Obamacare. And it's probably unfair, really, to characterize anybody in our caucus as not being absolutely 100% committed to defunding Obamacare.
Would you say that's accurate, that the likes of John McCain, Mitch McConnell, and John Boehner are 100% committed to defunding Obamacare?
No, I think there is unanimity among Republicans in Congress, in the House and in the Senate, that they're against Obamacare. How they vote on any particular procedural motion might differ, and some of us have very strong disagreements with the way that some members of our caucus are inclined to vote on this particular bill. You know, I always hesitate, Glenn, to get into somebody else's head and try to gauge how strongly they are or are not committed to something. What I focus on is each vote. It's each vote where the proof is found, and that's really what matters at the end of the day. It's not what motivates them, but what they do. That's why I've been focused on this vote, the upcoming cloture vote on this bill.
Okay, so what happens now, Mike?
Well, what happens now is that we're going to get to cloture on the bill. And cloture on the bill is something that I'm going to oppose. I, along with Ted Cruz and a handful of others, we're not yet sure how many. We're going to oppose it, Glenn, because the House passed a continuing resolution that funds government while defunding Obamacare, protecting Americans from its harmful effects. And this needs to have either an up or down vote on the House-passed bill as is, or it needs to have an open amendment process. But you can't have it both ways. Harry Reid wants to have it both ways. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to have one amendment only, an amendment that guts it. And I don't think that I have any interest in supporting that, in making it easier for Harry Reid to gut the bill.
So hang on, Mike. We're down to it, man. We're down to it. You know that, and I know that. We're down to it. So you can't tell me that John McCain is serious, because what's his plan? Where's his plan to stop it? I mean, honestly, if he doesn't vote, if anybody who doesn't vote with you and Rand and Ted, what's their plan to stop it from here?
That's a great question, and it's a question that I've asked a number of my Republican colleagues who have so far been opposing me. As of yet, none of them has come forward with anything that, in my opinion, satisfactorily answers the question of what can we do to stop Obamacare? What can we do to fight the effort to keep it funded? What can we do to maximize our chances of making sure that the House continuing resolution passes? I haven't heard a satisfactory solution from them, and on that basis, I've been trying to gather support for the no vote on cloture on this bill.
Okay, so how do you think you're going to do?
Well, you know, I've got about 15 or so that I think are likely going to be with me. That's a fluid number. And I suspect that my colleagues are hearing from their constituents on one side of this issue or another. I suspect
are the phones
that they're
ringing
probably
there,
hearing.
Are the phones ringing there?
The phones are ringing. They are ringing. In my office, in the last 36 hours alone, we've gotten, I think, 2,500, maybe close to 3,000 emails. And about 98% of them are strongly supportive of what we're doing. And, you know, members do pay attention to these things, to the email traffic, the phone traffic, the Twitter and Facebook traffic. And so, you know, people out there who are concerned about this, I'd encourage them to keep doing that and keep going to don'tfundit.com and sign the petition there. Encourage your senators to stand with the American people, with the House Republican leadership in favor of keeping government funded, but defunding Obamacare.
Okay, so I'm just trying to, I tried to get my arms around, I'm trying to get my arms around this nice statement from Rand Paul today that no, they don't want Obamacare and they want to defund it, but then they don't go for cloture, and then they don't have a plan for their own. There's 15 Republicans, 15 that are standing with you. So that means this thing's going to be funded. Where do we go from here, Mike, if miracles don't happen?
Well, I think we have to keep asking the American people to continue to weigh in. And as they do that, I think it becomes more likely that more senators join the no-vote coalition when it comes to cloture on this bill. If we can hold 41 on this, Glenn, I think we can stand behind this principle that we do have to keep government funded and we have to defund Obamacare in the process. If we can't hold 41, it's going to be really hard to do that.
You are a guy who has been around, I'm sorry to say and sorry to inflict this on you, but you're a guy who's now been around politicians for a while. You didn't necessarily go because that's what you wanted to do your whole life. You went because I know you wanted to do the right thing. So if they really believe this is the right thing to do, what exactly is their motivation for? Are there people there that think that this is that it'll make it worse, or it'll make it better for their re-election if Obamacare goes through? Do they understand that the American healthcare system as we know it is over once you don't stop this once it's started? Do they know that?
Yeah. Well, what I've heard from my colleagues on the other side of this issue is that they think it would be helpful to have a vote on a 51-vote threshold on this issue, and that vote could itself serve as a sort of contrast point to give us momentum in the next general election. And my point is that, look, this thing is about to kick in. This is a real tipping point here. Once this law kicks in, once the mandate subsidies, the exchange subsidies kick in and the expanded Medicaid, it's going to be very difficult to get rid of this thing. Big entitlement programs tend not to go away once we've adopted them. So what I'm saying is it's not just about a vote. It's not just about showing contrast with a vote on a record. This is about winning. And this is about showing the American people we will stand with them, and that we want to keep government funded, but we are not going to fund Obamacare, and we're going to do everything we can to defund it.
Mike,
there's a big difference between casting a vote and achieving victory. We want victory.
I told Jim DeMint probably about 7 years ago, I said there's going to come a time when the American people will be absolutely done with all of you. And they just won't listen to you anymore, and you think you're going to hide in this little Republican thing. It's not going to happen. It's probably 8 years ago now that I've said this to him. And I don't know if he really got it then. He was probably pretty sharp on this, but I don't think he really understood how bad it would get when I first said it to him. And I don't think your colleagues do. And for me, at least, what I got out of this, I watched everybody. I watched everybody who got up and spoke, and I watched Ted Cruz, and I thought, this is really the test. Are you going to stand up when the odds are absolutely against you and do the right thing? Are you going to stand up and take all the slings and arrows? Because I'll vote for you guys. I'll vote for you guys. But I'll tell you, I think the American people are so done with people like John Cornyn and Lindsey Graham and everything else. I will live my life to see those guys defeated in their next election. Cornyn is here, and I might run for senator in Texas over Cornyn. That's a nightmare. These guys, are they aware that the American people are done with them?
I had not heard that rumor yet, Glenn. I don't know whether you floated that on Twitter yet or not. I suspect that might be a newsmaker at this point.
Which part? That the Americans are done with them?
That you were running for the Senate. I didn't realize that was news. So I'm happy. It sounds like I'm the first one to know.
Just a little bit.
You are a Texan now, is that right?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. My question here, Mike, is really seriously, are they aware that they don't have another election in them running this way? The people are done with this whole smoke and mirrors thing. They won't vote for them again.
This is certainly the signal that Ted Cruz and I have been looking at, and that Ted Cruz and I have been messaging, that the American people do want us to stand up. They do want us to fight. They don't want us to just cast a vote. They want us to do everything we possibly can here. Now, what my colleagues do or don't understand is for them to answer. What will or won't happen might be the subject of some disagreement among Senate Republicans. But I understand exactly what you're saying, because I've heard a lot of frustration from a lot of Americans. And they do want us to fight on this, and they want us to achieve victory.
One of the good guys, Mike Lee, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and Godspeed. Back in a minute.